Owner of House of Chemicals, David Barnett, says he has made a career out of selling a variety of cleaning supplies. But due to the pandemic causing a higher demand for hand sanitizer, he and his son Josh Barnett learned how to produce their own FDA-regulated hand sanitizer. And their decision turned into something they regret not doing sooner.
I wish we had already been in the business when everything hit, but you know, everything happens. It all worked out.
And because of the way the pandemic has changed most people's hygiene habits, they plan to make their own produced hand sanitizer a permanent staple at their facility.
Future's bright for hand care. A lot of people have changed their habits. They're washing their hands more often. They're sanitizing more often.
By starting their own line of hand sanitizer, they hope to help keep everyone germ-free even after the pandemic is over.
So there's going to be more hand care products used over the next 10 years, probably.
David Barnett says he is a firm believer in that the things we touch spread infectious diseases more than anything, and that is why he is happy to be part of a business that helps keep both people and surfaces sanitized. Walking into the Uvias home for the first time, you would have never known that at one point they were both struggling with a meth addiction. But both Maggie and Raphael will tell you their happy household spiraled out of control after they both became addicted to drugs.
Because I was living in an animalistic level, you know, and I took my family down with me.
Over the course of 3 years, their marriage was tested as they both tried to overcome their substance abuse.
I'm daddy's girl.
Maggie says the loss of her parents caused her to fall into a deep depression.
A Spanish song that talks about the dad, you know, and he says, you know, when I'm gone, go to your mother, get the kisses from her that I gave her. What happens when you don't have your mom? Where do you get the kisses? But then it has a part in there where it says, you know, when you hug your kids, your parents get the hugs in heaven. So that's kind of why I always hug my kids, and then hugs up to heaven too.
But her parents were not the only loss she struggled with. She says her husband's drug habit stole the man she fell in love with 17 years ago.
The voice of the Lord is full of majesty.
Before we started our recovery, you know, it was to the point where I didn't know if we were going to make it. You know, it was to the point where, you know, we pretty much hated each other, that, you know, it was just like always fighting. It's like, why? You know, why are we together?
Their marriage issues caused Maggie to turn to meth as an outlet to deal with her pain.
I got tired of fighting him, so I was like, well, you know, you can't beat him, join him.
With both of them absorbed in their addiction, they didn't realize what they truly valued in life was slipping away from them, their kids.
After the CPS, you know, put the kids with somebody else, it was Thanksgiving. That Thanksgiving, it was just me and him in the house. We didn't have no heat, just an electric heater that we had. We didn't have water, you know, and that was very depressing.
That Thanksgiving spent without their kids was the defining moment for both of them, inspiring them to get their lives back on track. It's that time of year where you may start suffering from seasonal allergies. Same for our pets. Corey Kinslow noticed her dog Layla struggling with environmental allergies not long after adopting her.
It started to affect her whole day. Like, she was very lethargic. Like, her eyes would get super bloodshot red.
Dr. Gary Hodges with Western Veterinary Hospital says spring allergies in dogs is often because of plants coming into bloom and the pollen in the air, but it's not always an easy answer.
A lot of times it takes to figure out what they're doing, why they're doing it, and the different things to go in and solve these problems.
Layla's allergy flare-ups have sent Kinslow on a treatment journey.
The only thing that I could do for her was to go ahead and just do a steroid shot. I guess it was relief that I could stop the itching and stuff, but it was a lot of testing. It's still it can still be a learning curve.
Dr. Hodges says some dog allergies can be treated with Benadryl, but if you notice their symptoms getting worse, it may be best to talk to your vet about further treatment to improve their quality of life.
We control their problems, make them much happier, make them feel better.
And helping Layla's allergy symptoms has always been Kinslow's goal.
She would be miserable if I didn't. She'd be miserable, and then I feel like a horrible mom.
If you think your dog is suffering from environmental allergies, it may be worth talking to your veterinarian about treatment options. For almost 20 years, Joel Anderson has been helping save people's lives as a police officer. So it was a shock to him when he found out his own life was in jeopardy after his scan revealed colon cancer.
It was straight denial. I just knew that they had made a mistake and that it was going to be something else.
However, it was in fact stage 4 colon cancer, and it had spread to his liver, but he wasn't in the fight alone.
My wife has been unbelievably helpful with this whole thing. She's learned how to become a nurse. She goes to all my appointments, or at least calls in when they don't let us, because of COVID.
Amber Moreland, MD for Shannon Medical Center, says it's important to get screened even if you don't have family history of colon cancer, and they are fairly straightforward.
Colonoscopies are not as hard as people think they are. The worst part is having to do a prep the day before, but the actual procedure is, it's pretty straightforward. You are asleep for it. We give you some sedation, and it doesn't take too long, and it's an in and out outpatient procedure.
Anderson found comfort in a group on Facebook for people who are going through similar situations.
When you read about other people and the things that they're having to deal with, you kind of puts a lot of perspective. Like, oh, I could be feeling super bad for myself that this person is going through this, and that person's going through that, so I don't have it as bad, and I need to keep my head up.
In honor of March being Colon Cancer Awareness Month, Dr. Moreland stresses how it's important to get screened every 10 years once you hit 40, so pre-cancer tissue growth can be removed if need be. This was something Anderson wished he would have done, but his journey battling cancer has changed his outlook on life for the better.
So if you're going through this very negative and down on yourself, you're going to be miserable. But if you remain positive and have hope, and at least, as you're going through this, you're not, sad.
I like shooting more high calibers.
Wyatt Young and his sister Chloe, like most West Texans, are comfortably using guns thanks to gun safety lessons taught by their dad.
I think he did a really good job of kind of introducing it in a way that made me feel safe and showing me, how to handle them just safely. So I never really did feel unsafe around them.
Texas gun shop owner Ken Thomas thinks educating kids at a younger age about gun safety is the best way to prevent accidents.
I'm a father. There's nothing you can hide from your kids. They're going to find it. And you don't want them to find something uneducated or something accessible. So discuss it with your children. Tell them, hey, this is a firearm. And then lock it up.
Education on gun safety for everyone is important, and keeping our firearms locked helps prevent worst-case scenarios from happening. Thomas also mentions it's a federal law to keep firearms locked and can be rather inexpensive to do so.
Most every firearm and a handgun that's sold in the United States comes with a free gun lock. If not, gun locks are always available in every gun shop for very inexpensive. This model runs about $3.99. That's $3.99. So as you can see, it completely disables the gun. There's no way to close the slide to put ammunition in it. There's not even a way to insert a magazine. So to restore the gun back to firing, it's as simple as unlocking it and removing the cable, and then the gun can be restored back to operational.
Wyatt and Chloe's dad says it's important to educate kids about gun safety when they are young.
Just start them off, telling them, explaining that it's can be a deadly weapon, right? A tool. But knowing yourself, and it'll come second nature after you know what you're doing.
Many gun safety classes are offered in the area as well as online with the same goal in mind: preventing injuries and death from mishandling guns. Once a year, hundreds of people come from around the country to the rodeo in San Angelo, Texas. Some come for the shopping, some come for the carnival, and some just come to enjoy the rodeo. But for one man named Ernie Cantu, it's for more of a personal reason. People passing through this busy shopping center may catch a glimpse of Ernie's shoe shine parlor that is buried in with the rest of the vendors. But what they don't see is Ernie's love for his family that stands out so boldly.
The purpose is really my daughters, because one of them's in a coma. She's been in a coma 3 years. And the other one, she needs her 4th kidney transplant. And I want to help them out.
As you can imagine, it hasn't always been easy emotionally for a dad having to deal with this type of pain.
It's been hard. It's been really hard. I get depressed, but people, if it wouldn't be for the people like you guys and everybody else, it's a blessing because everybody picks me up.
And people continue to help.
There's people that come in here and say, hey, how's your daughters? And I say, fine, and then they'll come right back and they'll say, hey, Ernie, we're going to give you this. So they give me money and they say, it's for your daughters. What God told us to. I said, wow.
Ernie is grateful for the money donated because that means he can fly out to California to spend some valuable time with his daughter who is in a coma.
You know, it's just being there with her. They say that she doesn't, that she might not, they don't know whether she listens or not, but I talk to her all day because she might.
Ernie is also putting his earnings into a saving account so when his daughter gets a kidney donor, he can have his travel expenses covered as he travels to San Antonio to be with her. To an outsider passing by, they may just see a businessman, but Ernie is just a father looking for ways to provide for his family.
If I can do anything to help, work for it in any kind of way, I will.
Shining and reselling restored boots has been Ernie's passion for many years, and he is now using his gift as his purpose for being involved in this year's rodeo.
We'll take a look at some of the artwork that local artists made here in San Angelo. This building once was actually a bowling alley, but now it's been created into a 24/7 art gallery, and you can check it out when you come in for the rodeo on January 30th. You can see people are currently making repairs to the roof. This is after a fire broke out in their kitchen earlier this month.